Hope you guys are all having a good morning this morning. Oh, Bob wants in on the making a joyful noise. Okay, good morning everybody. Welcome to Unity in the Seven Hills. Hey out there on internet land. We are going to start with some songs this morning, and that we've got some special music for you today. And let's kick it off with a little, let's stand. Let's get some energy in this place. Hey, and we already had some energy, frankly. This band is fantastic, isn't it? So, good. We're going to start off with a little Good Morning Unity. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good morning, unity. Welcome to harmony. Come through those open doors. This church is yours. This is where we learn and grow. Find the things we really know. Look inside to find a way to start a brand new day. We're going to continue our Christmas music. This is an old classic. Came upon a midnight clear. It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music flows o'er all the dreary world. Above its sad and lonely plains, life they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophet bards foretold, when with the ever-circling years come round the age of gold, when peace shall overall the earth its ancient splendors fling, and the whole world send back the song which now the angels sing. And we've got one more for you this morning. It's a message running through the music today. It's about peace, which happens to be the daily word and the Advent word for today. So, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. In my soul, I've got a peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Got joy like a fountain. Got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. Oh, I've got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain. I got joy like a fountain in my soul. Love like an ocean. Love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean in my soul. In my soul, I've got love like an ocean. I got love like an ocean. I've got love like an ocean in my soul. Back to peace. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. In my soul, I've got peace like a river. I got peace like a river. I got peace like a river in my soul. Good morning, everybody.
Wow, thank you, Unity Band. Thank you, Daniel. Please be seated. Good morning, Unity in the Seven Hills. Welcome to the second Sunday of Advent. Let's start off by blessing the Christ candle and the two candles representing the first and second Sunday of Advent. Let's remember the first one was for hope and faith. This one this week is for peace. So let's say that great unity affirmation. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. I want to tell you, particularly centering on peace, I want to tell you a true story, and I can vouch for this story, and it happened right here in Lynchburg this week. I have a dear friend who lives in Lynchburg, well, many dear friends who live in Lynchburg, but this particular friend is a retired minister, a retired pastor, and so she's in her house, and she goes into her purse to get her iPhone. It's not there. Oh my God. She dumps out her purse. Ever happened to you? You know, oh my God. Dumps it out. It happened to me. Dumps it out. Can't find it. Around the house. She can. Oh my God. It has all my contacts. It has all this info. It has financial, this, that. Oh my God. She can't find. She is going down the tubes. And all of a sudden she said, "No, wait a minute. I'm letting whether I can hold this electronic equipment in my hands determine my entire sense of worth, being, and oh my, and then we're coming up to what week in Advent? We're coming up to peace. And I'm letting my peace be determined upon whether there's an iPhone. My peace, and remember the Apostle Paul said, the peace that passes all understanding. She started to pray. The peace that passes all understanding. Help me to remember the real reason for this season. And she started feeling peace and serenity. And then after she came out of prayer, she said to herself, you know, I can go, I mean, it's going to be money, but I can go to the Verizon store and get a new cell phone. I mean, and most all this information, not everything, but most of the information and the pictures are up in the cloud someplace, so I just downloaded onto, God, why was I? So anyway, later in the day, my friend is with one of her friends, and as they're parting, the friend says, I'll call you later, and my friend says, but if you call me, you better call me on the landline. Why? Well, and she tells her the whole 9 stories. Oh my goodness. Well, what kind of phone was it? What does it look like? What cover is it? Oh, when do you remember last seeing it? And my friend said, I had this vague memory. I was in the Boonesboro Kroger, and my purse was open. Who knows? And so later in the day, this friend is up at the Boonesboro Kroger. You know how sometimes you have to really yank to get a shopping, they're really tightly jammed together. She yanks, gets a shopping cart, looks in the shopping cart. There's a cell phone in the shopping cart. She takes the cell phone and it matches. She calls my friend and says, I think I found your cell phone. I'm going to leave it with the manager here at the Kroger. And my friend goes up to the Kroger, and it's her phone. Think about that for a second. And I'd like to take, 3 takeaways from that. First, what's the probability of that happening? And yet it did. So the next time you think about Jesus saying, all things are possible with God, remember that story. Second, I think there can be a tendency for many of us to think, well, yeah, these spiritual principles, yeah, maybe in the Bible, and maybe half the Bible was not true, but who knows? And maybe it applied long ago and far away, but it doesn't work now in the cyber age and all that. Remember that this story happened right here in Lynchburg, not long ago, not far away, but it happened now. And the third thing which I'd like you to remember from this story, the most important thing which I think comes from this true story, when did the peace happen to my friend? Not when the iPhone showed up, but when she took the time to step back and pray. And in this case, remember the real reason for this season. Wow. I was blown away when I heard this story. Postscript. So my friend, the retired minister, gets the iPhone. She's driving back home, and she says to herself, maybe that was a sign from heaven that I really should go to the Verizon store and see, see what they have. So every week we we look at one of the unity key principles. And this week we are on the 4th principle, which ties very much into that story about prayer, the importance of prayer. A lot of time, again, unity started out as a prayer movement. And prayer has always been at the center of the unity movement. We advocate all prayer is fine, but we advocate a particular type of prayer called affirmative prayer, where Jesus taught. It's in all the Gospels, but particularly my favorite part where he said it is in the 11th chapter of Mark, where Jesus said, when you pray, believe that you have received, and you will receive. Now, let me put a caveat on that. Before you start using affirmative prayer, ask yourself, is what I'm going for, do I really think God wants me to have this? Do I really feel this aligns with, will it really align with my spiritual growth? Will it really help you with your spiritual growth? Or will it bring good to somebody or bring good into the world? If you can't really answer positively on that, I wouldn't waste time on affirmative prayer on that. I have never used, for example, and I'm only speaking for me. I have never used affirmative prayer for a fancy car. I mean, because I never thought it's going to, it's going to spiritually help me grow. But if it is something which I do believe aligns with divine mind, and I do believe, because Jesus also said, it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. He didn't say, it's the Father's good pleasure to give everybody else the kingdom except you. But that if you honestly, truly believe this will help you spiritually grow, then I would go with affirmative prayer and take up that thing about when you pray, believe that you have received and go from there. Prayer is very, very powerful, and it is very, very important. A lot of times, the outward world may not change, but we change. And we find that, like this story, her serenity was not dependent upon the actual iPhone showing up, although it did. So anyway, let's say this principle together. Prayer and meditation keep us aligned with the one great power in the universe. Really is true. Unfortunately, a lot of times when we go through crises, sometimes spiritual, as they say in America, when the going gets tough, the tough go shopping. So, we forget these spiritual principles, but that's the time to really to use them. If you're new to Unity in the Seven Hills, welcome. If you're new to the Unity movement, welcome. We're so glad to see you. At the end of the service, this is a week where we do a special candle lighting ceremony, but after that, please join us downstairs. We are going to have a wonderful food and fellowship. Please join us. Also our greeters, there's Bob and there's Lisa, have packets which explain an awful lot of what's there's something almost going on here every day now, which can help your spiritual walk. And a lot of these things you can, they're online, you can connect that way. So, and we're really glad to see you here. The other thing which I just have found wonderful is the growth of our youth and family ministries, and Crystal has done just such a wonderful, wonderful job. I think some of them have already gone downstairs, but let's bless them. Let's bless them, including my daughter. But let's bless them anyway. You are a perfect child of God, and God and I love you just the way you are, and
wherever you are. So let's stand and sing. 2, 1, 2, ready, go. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Hey, this bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All the time, yeah. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This bright light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Thank you. Please be seated. Let's affirm our mission statement together. Unity in the Seven Hills is a vibrant, inclusive community that inspires individual spiritual growth through education, prayer, heart connection, and sacred service. And our vision statement, we are an inclusive community centered in spirit. We embrace our divine oneness, power, and purpose. And I've asked Bonnie, there she is. I've asked Bonnie Black to please read us our daily word, which is peace. Hopefully, there it is.
Hello? Okay. Hi. The daily word today is peace. Peace is the song of my heart. And for those of you who are reading this at home with me, I'm changing it up like just how I read it. Peace is always mine, an aspect of divine identity. When peace feels far away, I take it as a cue to center myself in spirit and return to the practices that calm my mind and open my heart. As I relax and enter the silence, I touch the peace and perfection of God and claim that peace as my own. As the Advent journey continues, I seek to embody peace. No matter what might be happening around me, I can rise above that which troubles and distracts me. All that takes my attention away from my spiritual life and my relationship with God. Returning to activity, I carry peace with me. I bring harmony to my interactions, calm to my reactions, and tranquility to every corner of my life. I won't just be peaceful, I will be peace itself. And that is definitely affirmative prayer because, we're not always there. May mercy, peace, and love be yours in abundance. Jude 1:2.
Thank you. Thank you, Bonnie. Thank you. This is the Hanukkah started this week. I've asked Ari to come on up and say something about Hanukkah. I brought a menorah down. And the interesting thing is it's not just Jewish. A lot of scholars, modern scholars, believe that when Jesus said, I am the light of the world, you are the light of the world, it was during a Hanukkah service. So anyway, let me pass it to Ari.
Got muted. All right. Also say Friday was also Bodhi Day when supposedly Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree and found enlightenment. So that holiday also occurred recently. And real quick to my one-to-oneness people, are you paying attention? Are you observing? Are you in the periphery? Or are you giving in today? Now we'll go to Hanukkah. Got to keep them straight. This last week, on Thursday to be exact, at sundown, the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah began. Hanukkah, which is also in the Bible the Christians use, celebrates an oil lamp whose oil and wick lasted 8 nights. This occurred during a war. And there are details there, but as some Jewish writers I've been reading recently have pointed out, the results of that war are controversial. The light lasting against all worldly odds is the point. And that's important in these trying times, especially as it refers to the celebrants of this holiday. Whichever side of a war you are on, that lamp burns in your darkness, and it will always last as long as you need it. It is also a dedication historically of the Second Temple, so it can be viewed as a rededication of our temple. Many make that rededication towards the Jewish principle of tikkun olam, or mending of the world. I would point out that the word olam can mean world, but can also mean eternity. We dedicate ourselves to mending the world specifically because we know the divine, the eternal, is within it. It is all one, or echad, as is said in the Hebrew prayer of the Shema. We are one on each night, and we shed a sweet light.
Thank you, Ari. Thank you. And now we have some very special praise music.
Yep. This week is a special week for our special praise music. This is a song written by Fran Lazenby, who's right there. And one of the joys of having this band of musicians is that we get to hear our music often for the first time with a in a kind of a real full sense. So here's your song this Christmas. Don't have a lot of money, not even a credit card. So buying gifts this Christmas is gonna be quite hard. But I'll do the best I can, and I'll say a prayer this day that the love for you this Christmas will never go away. My gift to you this Christmas is of a special kind, that God will richly bless you and give you peace of mind. My gift to you this Christmas, I hope, will last throughout the year. That God will richly bless you and the ones you hold so dear. So hang up those stockings and decorate the tree. This is the best that I can do, and a gift to you from me. I have but one request, that you'll say a prayer for me, that I'll make it through this Christmas and another year I'll see. My gift to you this Christmas is of a special kind, that God will richly bless you and give you peace of mind. Oh, my gift to you this Christmas, I hope will last throughout the year, that God will richly bless you and the ones you hold so dear. One more time to the chorus. So hang up those stockings and decorate the tree. This is the best that I can do, the gift to you from me. I have but one request, that you'll say a prayer for me, that I'll make it through this Christmas and another year I'll see, that I'll make it through this Christmas and another new year I'll see.
Thank you, Daniel and Unity Band. Thank you, Fran. Beautiful, beautiful. So, this Christmas season, we are on a metaphysical journey to Bethlehem. We started it last week. And Ari pointed out to me, interestingly, the number of hits that we, for some reason, the number of hits we got online of watching last week's service was way up from what we usually get. So this trip, there are a lot of people going on the trip with us to Bethlehem. And our tour guide is Reverend Pathia Hasbrook. Reverend Hasbrook, as I said to you, was the Dean of Unity Institute and Seminary for a good number of years. Wrote several books, one a very powerful book called On Prayer, but she also wrote this book on the trip to Bethlehem, where she looks at the whole story, from a mythological or metaphysical point of view. So let's not get hung up in literal whatever. But the bottom line, she feels, and I would agree, and I hope we come away with this, the bottom line of all this rigmarole that we're going through, it's wonderful, but the bottom line is the rebirth of the Christ within. The rebirth of the Christ, and realizing that that's who we really are. Not our fears, not our error thoughts, not our sense of lack, scarcity. Oh my God, the mistake I made in 1992. Where that is not it. Who we really are is the Christ within. Yeah, but I blew it then. It's not like you get one ride on the merry-go-round, and then if you don't get the brass ring, you wind up a crispy critter for the rest of eternity or anything else like that. That this is a loving God. I got to tell you, thinking about this trip, I wish we had a time machine. Wouldn't it be neat to go into a time machine? Really, to go into a time machine and to go back to Jerusalem and Bethlehem of that first Christmas. It'd be just fascinating. I honestly wish we could do it. And if we did it, I think one of the things we would be, particularly in Jerusalem, we would be really confronted with Herod the Great. Herod the Great, for example, if there was Fox News or CNN back then, we would be seeing incessant stories, fake news, and general hoo-ha about Herod the Great. Herod was Rome's Jewish puppet king of Judea. He built many colossal building. I grew up in New York State under Governor Nelson Rockefeller. Well, they used to, he was building they used to kid and say that he had an edifice complex. But compared to, but Rockefeller was a piker compared to Herod the Great, compared to all the stuff that he built. And probably the most famous building was finishing off and doing a lot of the work on the Second Temple. Remember, the first temple built by King Solomon. The Babylonians eventually came, conquered, destroyed. The Babylonians were conquered by the Persians. Persia said yes to Ezra and Nehemiah, go back to Jerusalem, go back to the Holy Land. They did. Nehemiah centered on rebuilding the walls. Ezra, the scribe, was there, and the temple getting actually rebuilt was a slow process. But Herod really did an awful lot to rebuild that temple. And it's interesting for many reasons, but one, that Second Temple, Jesus was brought there as a little baby and dedicated there. The other is that probably one of the most sacred places to Jews is in Jerusalem, and it's the Wailing Wall. It's sometimes called the Western Wall, sometimes it's Judaism, I Jewish roots, Wailing Wall. And it was the Western Wall of the Second Temple, which a lot of that wall, not all of it, but a lot of it still remains. And you see pictures of people coming up with little prayers written on, and going to the crevice of the wall and sticking it in. Well, that was, a big, done by Herod. Reverend Hasbrook says the Christmas story, in the Christmas story, the time is metaphysical. It represents the stages of consciousness one must reach to begin the transformation process. It is symbolized by King Herod, who, though a historical person, is also an archetypal figure. Any king is a symbol for the ego. And Charles Fillmore, in his work, would agree with that. Also, Carl Jung, the great Swiss psychiatrist, often sees the ego represented by kings. Reverend Hasbrook writes, ideally, the ego or small self serves the greater self, the image of God. Until a person enters the transformation process, the ego revolves around its own concerns, and its primary concern is self-protection. Such an ego is called egocentric. Herod, she writes, represents a particular type of really egocentric ego. So again, let's remind ourselves. And you know what? My view, we have egos. God gave us egos. They're there for a reason. I mean, the mortgage or the rent has to get paid, and something has to remind us to do those. We needed somewhat of an executive function. So the ego serves a purpose. The problem is that most of us go through a period where that ego balloons way beyond what it was created to do. And what we need to do is go through a right-sizing process where the ego is brought back into realizing that it's there to be aligned with this higher. This small self is there to be aligned with this higher self. We call it the Christ within. Others call it Buddha nature, Atman, higher self, higher power. Aldous Huxley called it the perennial philosophy. But aligning ourselves, we would call it aligning with that Christ within. The problem is that the Herod archetype, or the Herod, which is, in Charles Fillmore would say, is in all, there's a Herod in all, there's a potential Herod in all of us, is that the problem is that this Herod type of character either doesn't even realize that there is a higher self, or just absolutely refuses to align with that. Will Durant, that great historian and philosopher, said about Herod, Herod was a man of intellect without morals, without scruple, and without honor. He toadied to the Romans by building monuments to Augustus and other pagans, and he even built a magnificent temple in which infant Jesus was dedicated. But Herod had only one God, himself. He had 10 wives and 14 children and lived luxuriously, but knew no happiness. This isn't just Christian writers saying Herod knew no happiness. You read pagan writers also will say that Herod really wasn't. He was a character who was uncomfortable in his own skin. He was ruthless, even within his own family. Even one of his wives he had killed. 3 of his sons he had killed. And let's not leave out mother-in-laws. Even one of his mother-in-laws was executed. you know, and again, the ego's there for a reason. In your car, it's not have an ego in your car. Just don't have it in the driver's seat. Just don't have it in the driver's seat. And again, this aligning of the small self with the higher self. When we take interstate trips, what we do, we get in the car, we hold hands, and we say a prayer, and the prayer goes like this. I'll say, you know, thank you, God. Again, praying, you know, when you pray, believe that you have received, and you will. Thank you, God, for the hedge of protection around Therese, around Robin, and around me, and around the car. And also, whoever is driving this car, may it really be the Christ within who is driving this car. And this prayer, you'll say, well, do you really think it brought a hedge of protection? I would say yes, but beyond that, I can tell you of situations where I'm driving and I get cut off or somebody does this. My initial, I wish a minister, but honesty, you cut me off like that. I mean, my initial reaction is, shall we say, lower than the angels. But then, but then what comes to me, reminding me, it's the Christ within driving the car. Do you really see the Christ within stepping on the accelerator? No. And then look at the guy who'd cut you. He's cutting everybody else off on the highway. It wasn't you, for God's sakes. He's cutting everybody else on. Pray for him. Pray for him. And so that, really does, I find, pull you back into center. Let's remember Herod's role in the Christmas story. So the wise men come to see Herod, and they say to him, we're following the star, and we feel, a Messiah is being born. Can you tell us where you think it might happen in the Holy Land? And Herod said, well, let me consult, my rabbis and scholars, and I'll come back and let you know. I'm shocked to hear that. He's a Jew. How could he not know Bethlehem? I mean, this is like asking who's buried in Grant's tomb. Grant, is buried in Grant's tomb. Or who was the father of our country? George Washington. I mean, he doesn't know George Washington. I mean, this is basic. And so he comes back and he says, the city of David, Bethlehem. Okay, so they go, wait, before you go, because he's nervous. He's hearing, this Messiah's getting born. After you worship, come on back and tell me where he is, because I want to go worship him too. So anyway, the wise men go off. Happens in, the honoring and the gifts and all that. The wise men, through angelic word here, don't go back. Take I-60 instead of I-70 when you're going home. Don't see Herod again, and they go that way. Herod's getting itchy about all this going on. Meanwhile, again, angelic message coming to Joseph, saying, "Go flee safety, get the family out of here, go to Egypt. I'll tell you when it's safe to come back." And so they skedaddle and get out. Unfortunately, Herod then says, "I haven't heard from them. Go into Bethlehem and kill all the little male children in Bethlehem." And there comes that horrible murders. So first off, I think the 20th and 21st century provide us with a cavalcade of megalomaniacs and demagogues who are clearly Herodian type of characters who were so egocentric and just totally denied that there was any higher self that they needed to serve or align with. or had a very demonic notion of what that what that higher self was. But what Charles Fillmore and again Carl Jung said very much the same thing, and Reverend Hasbrook would agree, is that the important thing is when we look at this, is to look at all of the characters in the story, or when you are analyzing a dream, to look at all of the characters in the dream and see, is there a part of you represented by that character? You may want to deny, oh my God, I don't want to be represented by Herod or the wicked. How am I like the Wicked Witch of the West? If your dream is more like the Wizard of Oz. But when we can start to look and say, in what ways am I, what is there a Herod in me? When we can start looking at that, then we can really a lot of times make some real spiritual progress. And when we don't, we are what we're talking about is sweeping stuff under the rug, and that can be like our shadow. Carl Jung would call a growth of the shadow. So how do we deal with, first of all, looking and asking, is there a part of Herod which is, do I have sort of Herod-like, I'm not killing babies and all that, but, what's going on? I would suggest two things. First, remember when we studied, how do, ways to break the hold of Herod. First, remember when we were looking at Dr. Edith Eger. Dr. Edith Eger, the wonderful psychotherapist, student of Viktor Frankl, who as a young girl wound up in Auschwitz, was a survivor of Auschwitz, eventually wound up in the United States. But as her family was entering Auschwitz, her mother turned to Edith and said, remember, Edith, they cannot take out of you what you've put in your mind. They can't take out of you the thoughts that you have put in your mind. Remember, unity is part of what we call new thought. There is an important reason why it's called new thoughts. The thoughts we put in our head have power. That old unity standard, our thoughts are prayers, and we are always praying. Our thoughts are prayers. Take charge of what you're saying. Seek a higher consciousness, a place of peaceful rest, and know that God is always there. Then every thought becomes a prayer. The thoughts you put in your head are so important, and they can't take that, they can't take that away from you. Sometimes when I, read the news or hear a news story or this, I remind myself, because even if it did happen here, they can't take the Christ away from me. They can't take or again, if it's Buddha nature to you, they can't take the Buddha nature away from you. They can't take that away from you. And when we can hold to that, that is a very powerful truth, which it sustained Edith Eger in Auschwitz, it sustained Viktor Frankl in Auschwitz, and it's work here today. The other way to weaken the Herod grip is to use, it's Unity 101, but to use affirmation and denials. Affirmation and denials. Reverend Hasbrook says about denials, denials are statements that declare unwanted, outgrown, or negative thoughts, feelings, beliefs, and attitudes about ourselves and other persons and circumstances or conditions are powerless to determine our behavior. Denials weaken Herod by convincing us that we are no longer children at the mercy of the outer world, but adults who can take charge of our own lives and behave differently because we can think differently about ourselves. And also turn to affirmations. Affirmations, writes Reverend Hasbrook, are positive statements that declare the truth about ourselves and other people, situations, and circumstances. With affirmations, we acknowledge the presence and power of God active within us and everyone and everywhere. Denials and affirmations. So I would suggest, one, that we do examine what Herod is, Herodian, it's small, maybe small Herodian, but, what's in there? And then remembering Dr. Edith Eger's mom, they can't take away the thoughts that you put in your head. And then very much turn to affirmation and denials. I wanted to quickly tell two stories about people who dealt with this and went through a process like this and dealt with, as it were, their inner Herod, and came out of it much, much better for doing it. And, I could take some megalomaniac or some dictator. I decided I'd rather take, my two examples are two good people. One of them, C.S. Lewis, is one of my big heroes, for gosh sakes. So anyway, let's start with C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis was a great scholar of Middle English literature at Oxford College. He was a strident atheist and agnostic who went through a conversion process and became one of the leading, in the 30s, one of the leading advocates of spirituality and Christianity. I was so drawn to him because I too went through a period where a strident atheist and agnostic went through a conversion process. And when I read about, because C.S. Lewis wrote about his conversion process, it was very, it was very similar. And I felt really, wow. So anyway, it was World War II, and Britain's taking a beating. The BBC asks C.S. Lewis if he will make a few radio talks on spirituality. He did. They were powerful. A lot of people benefited so much by it. After the war, they were collected and published in a wonderful book, Mere Christianity, a wonderful, wonderful book. So it's after World War II. He's now, C.S. Lewis is also friends, he's in a group called the Inklings, which includes J.R.R. Tolkien. They meet at a pub roughly every Monday or so, and they listen to each other, read their works. Could you imagine being there hearing C.S. Lewis read, or Tolkien read The Hobbit, as you're at a pub drinking, and it's, wow, and I wish it could have been a fly on the wall, as it were for that. But it's a difficult time. Post-World War II, he's living with his brother Warnie, who is an alcoholic, and it's extremely difficult. C.S. Lewis feels exhausted, passed over. He starts writing a book called Miracles, where he feels he can prove the existence of God through logic and reason. So he writes the book, he can prove God's existence through logic and reason. He gets after it's written and published, people say you should get in a debate with Professor Elizabeth Ashcombe, who's an analytical philosophy. And she is a student of Ludwig Wittgenstein. Wittgenstein, oh my God, if you want cold, hard logic, this is Wittgenstein. So anyway, they get into a debate, and Professor Ashcombe just kills him. C.S. Lewis even admitted, I got trounced. I really got trounced. And he's shocked that he got beaten so badly, and his thing that you can prove God by logic and reason and all, and he feels just defeated and all that. He lives near Oxford. He rides to Oxford on his bicycle, and a lot of times he starts thinking, and very similar to Tolkien. mean, Tolkien was just grading papers one day, and he wrote on and there was a hobbit who lived in a hole. Just one sentence. What does that mean? And from that one sentence, out came eventually the Hobbit and the Lord and the Lord of the Ring. So anyway, he's riding a bike, and he's thinking to himself, once there were 4 children whose names were Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. Well, what about them? Well, they're children, and it's World War II, and so they don't get bombed. They're shipped to the countryside. They live in a manor. They're in a manor, and it's big manor, and they go up to this floor, and there's a wardrobe, and they open the wardrobe, and they walk through the wardrobe, and they wind up in a magical land, Narnia. And there is a kingly, Christ-like lion called Aslan. He starts writing this down, and out comes the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe. And out comes the Chronicles of Narnia. And Lewis starts thinking, I had this internal Herod. My God was cold logic and reason, all head knowledge. And God is not all head, God is heart. God is mystery, God is awe. And Lewis realized that sometimes the best way to talk about God is through the beauty of an enchanting story. And so, in dealing with that little Herod inside of him, Lewis, I think, became so much more wonderful, remembered, and truly became one of the greats. Second story, about a grandmother called Ricky Ditson. And again, a good person. She lives in Greenbrier, Arkansas. She grew up in a dysfunctional family. Oh my God, what a dysfunctional family. Christmas, adults are getting drunk, fighting, smashing furniture. The Christmas tree gets knocked over and all that. So Ricky says to herself, when I grow up, it's going to be a proper Christmas. It's going to be a real Christmas. I mean, it is going to be a Christmas where the family gets up in the morning, they're in their pajamas still, they go around the tree, they open Christmas presents, and then they go to church, and they come home and they have a real Christmas turkey dinner. Well, she grows up, she marries Denny, who becomes a minister. And guess what? Christmas is that, and they have children and all that, and in the mornings in their pajamas opening up the present. But, the little ones start to grow, and now they're grandchildren, and so not everybody can fit in there, so they're now motels and driving too. So the family's getting bigger and bigger. So they finally come to Ricky, and several of the kids say, let's skip the turkey. And the turkey is really, let's make it lasagna. Let's switch to lasagna. And Ricky's thinking, oh my God, lasagna. And Denny says, peace in the valley, switch to lasagna. So they switch. The next year, we're vegetarian. Can we also have vegetarian lasagna? Next one, can we get dairy free? Can we get gluten free? Ricky's thinking, why don't I just Xerox a picture of a lasagna box and put it on its head and serve that? Next, our family's getting so big. Our family is getting so big. I mean, let's give up on adults giving Christmas presents. It's just for the. And Ricky's saying, no, it's. Denny, again, peace in the valley, peace in the valley. So then finally the kids come, Grandma, Mom, this starting in the morning in pajamas. I mean, can we start Christmas in the afternoon? Let's start Christmas at 1:30. And this Ricky really flies. And she looks at Den, don't give me any of this peace in the valley stuff. And she goes off. And that still small voice says to her, reminds her of Herod. And she's in tears. I mean, she remembers her childhood and all that, but then she realized her Herod was rigidity, my way. And to look and just be glad that she has this family now. They're all doing well. None of them are in addiction. I mean, they're all doing well. They're all holding jobs. What are you complaining about? And they all want to be with you on Christmas. That's, you know. And so she came back, and it's been wonderful Christmases, which have started at 1:30. So I think this boils down to a few key points. First, Christmas truly is about that rebirth of the Christ within us all. Second, the ego, that little ego, it really, you need an ego for a reason, but it needs to be serving that higher self, that higher Christ within. And third, there's a little bit, I mean, I don't mean to insult you, but I mean, there's a little bit of the Herod and many, little Herodian traits. I mean, Ricky Ditson and C.S. Lewis are great people, but even they realized that they had some of these traits inside of them. I suggest that, and fourth, I suggest that this Advent season, that we explore what Herodian traits are in our lives. And lastly, once we recognize what are our little Herods, as it were, we take steps to overcome them. There's very easy ways of doing it. We remember Edith Eger's mom's advice. We also remember the power of affirmations and denials, which can overcome any Herod. Next week, we'll continue our metaphysical journey in Jerusalem and Bethlehem, and this time we'll be looking at Joseph. So, I would suggest, we end this with, remember, Reverend Hasbrook was the one who really came up with that all-purpose unity affirmation. This, and you fill in the blank, this cannot stop my good from coming to me. I would suggest we, this week, do it this way. This Herod, and you fill in the blank of what this Herod is, cannot stop our good from coming to us. So, this Herod cannot stop our good from coming to us. Let's say it together. This Herod cannot stop our good from coming to us. Thank you, and God bless.
As we go into meditation today, let's remember that affirmation and really feel these words of peace. May peace be all upon us, we find forgiveness. May peace prevail around us, peace be still. May peace be all around us, we find forgiveness. May peace prevail around us, peace be still. May peace be all upon us, we find forgiveness. May peace prevail around us, peace be still. Peace of mind and body, I find forgiveness. I feel the peace within me. Peace, be still. Peace of mind and body, I find forgiveness. I feel the peace within me. Peace, be still. Peace of mind and body, I find forgiveness. I feel the peace within me. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. Peace, be still.
Let's take a deep breath and slowly let it out. Let's close our eyes if we feel comfortable. And know that we are blessed in so many ways. And where there are challenges, may we see them as opportunities for more spiritual growth. And at this moment, know that we are one with the One. And that Christ within is coming alive in us right here, right now. And with this joy, peace, and comfort, we go into the silence. Within Unity Village, in the prayer ministries, there are signs all over the place, beautifully done, which say the following: "It is not I, but the Christ within that does the work." Knowing that, how could there be anything less than total victory? And for this, we say thank you, and amen, and amen.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, stand and sing. The light of God surrounds us. I have the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I have the love of God. The power of God protects us. I have the power of God. And the presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well.
You be seated. Resources, not just announcements, but resources which are really, a lot of them I think could help you on your spiritual walk. For events, classes, go to unityinthesevenhills.org. That's all one word, unityinthesevenhills.org. But if just a few of the announcements. First, we got a word from Inspector Clouseau. Where's the chairs? He's hunting, but he needs help. We are missing 3 folding chairs in our library. If anyone knows where they are, or how, where they are, or anything else, is that one of them? We just found one, I think. Ho! Oh! Now they show up. Monday Yoga has changed its time. They now will be meeting at 5:30 p.m., but I am sure that yogis can be flexible with the new schedule. Broadcast team, we are looking for volunteers in several areas. One is the Sunday broadcast team. I got to tell you, we are getting a lot of hits of people watching this, and what the broadcast team is doing is really good. You can help send out video, manage audio, or advance slides. Trainings included. Thank you. Another area is helping Crystal in the youth program, and there's a sign-up sheet in the back. And also, very importantly, we are looking for one more prayer chaplain. If you are called to action, let us know. Either on prayer chaplains, either speak to Sally Ingram or speak to me. But ask yourselves, either broadcast team, helping maybe one weekend a month or so with the kids, or prayer chaplain, we'd really appreciate it. Our youth and family program this year has been expanding faster than Santa's sleigh can keep up with them. So Crystal has created a list via Amazon, which we've put up as a Facebook post. Just go to our Facebook page. You can pull it up. You'll see it's an Amazon wish list. Again, compiled by Crystal, and it has a lot of things and goodies which would truly help us downstairs. And so go to it, look to it, consider giving through that. All Things Mystical and Metaphysical, led by Pamela Smith, is still, I can't recommend this class highly enough. Meets Wednesdays at 1:30 p.m. You can attend it either live downstairs, or you can go online, or it's archived and we can get the links to you. But an incredibly powerful class. Flower Power funding. Orders are due by December 15th. That is this Friday. Order your amaryllis or paper whites today. And is it up there? It is up. The other is, if you have more questions about it after the service, speak to please Deanna Morandi. If you just, there she is. If you would speak to her. Today, after the service, we will be holding our monthly candle lighting. So before you go to get coffee, stick around here in the sanctuary to say, share your joys and concerns. And Sally has, let me just say, our prayer chaplain is Donna, will be here for prayers afterwards. And Sally has an announcement. There we go. Thank you.
Hello. The board is delighted to let you all know that Reverend Rick has finished his yearly evaluation, and the board has unanimously voted to offer him a contract for another year.
Thank you.
To which Reverend Rick has accepted. So we're looking forward to another wonderful, wonderful year.
We're going to build on all the good that's been done this year.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let's affirm and we are so grateful for the support we've received through the pandemic, post-pandemic period, etc. Let's say the affirmation together. Unity in the Seven Hills is abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us. And we do great mighty works together. Our greeters are going to have us come forward. I know many of you give monthly, but or whatever. But I mean, your prayer. I mean, your vibes, powerful vibes, and good thoughts are welcome. Come on, look at the and at the Advent candle and the Christ candle. Then take an affirmation, and we're going to sing now something wonderful.
Something wonderful, something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, oh, I can feel it in my soul. I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no, it won't let go. Oh, this love inside. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no, it won't let go. Oh, this love inside. Something wonderful is happening to me right here, right now. I can feel it in my body, I can feel it in my soul, I can feel it in my heart, and it won't let go, no, it won't let go. Oh, this love inside. All right, so let's bless these gifts together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. United in mind, body, and spirit, I dedicate these gifts as they grow to bless our community, our neighborhood, and our world. So let's hear from the youth.
We did week 2 of learning more about our I ams, and we also did some really cute Santa Claus crafts. They're downstairs on the bulletin board for everybody to see.
All right, so let's close with the peace song. 2, ready, go. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as creator, united all are we. Yes, we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Don't forget the candle lighting, and then head downstairs.